Hey everyone, welcome to On the Record, the new spotlight series by Loyola Gaming. This show is part of our Women in Esports initiative where we're sitting down with the people truly shaping the industry to get their stories on the record. I'm your host, Minru, and today's guest is someone who brings so much depth to the desk, whether she's breaking down a complex site execute in Valorant or sharing her journey as a creator. She's a powerhouse for representation and a literal master of her craft. Please welcome Yuuske.
Hey, how's it going? Hey. Hi guys. Hi Minru. So happy to be here. I love LG.
Oh, we love you too. Like that's why you're here every year, I think. Okay. So, um Yusuke, I have to be real with you. As someone who doesn't really follow the scene or the Valorant scene, I've noticed you've been in a bit of a stealth mode lately. So just to put it on the record, where has Yusuke been? What have you been up to?
Oh my gosh, you're heading straight for my
Oh,
location. I'm just kidding. I'm just
sorry.
kidding. Well, yes, I did decide to take a bit of a break. We can talk about that a bit later. But what am I up to now? I've decided in terms of content to pivot to a bit more of a healthier relationship with it because I noticed in the past I would get burned out with what I'm making or having to always make content in the hopes that it would please other people. And I realized I was really quite healthy because I noticed that as a creator, you have to be authentic and genuine with what you want to share with people when they come across your content. So I took a bit of a break, took a step back, and realized that, okay, I do still enjoy making content, but this time I'm going to be doing it for me. And I think that was a very big step in terms of realizing what I wanted to put out there. So, stealth mode is correct. Actually, I think it's healthier to do that, to be a bit more private, but at the same time, still being able to share who you are with the world. So, I did, I would say, calm down a bit with the shoutcasting. So, I say calm down because the people I work with, they say I'm a firehouse. I just keep yapping and I jump and do crazy stuff. You know who you are. You know who you are. So that was the first step, and then after that, I realized this is something I still do enjoy. And it's something that I always like going back to, whether it's gaming as a whole or if it's the esports side of things. And I think it's good to take those breaks because it helps you realize what you may be doing that could be improved, especially for your well being, which I think should come first because in the past, that did not come first for me. So I'm happy that that happened for me, that I realized that growth.
Yeah, I actually really love that. It's so easy to get burnt out, especially online. So yeah, I think taking a step back is such a power move in itself. Oh, being being stealthy like that is a power move in itself. But I wanted to ask also, if you've been cooking something while you're taking that break. Oh, you're cooking something right now. No, but were you cooking something like while you were taking the break? Is there something that, is there something cooking basically?
Interesting term. Well, in terms of cooking, I think the appetizer has already been set on the table. I'm now working on my first course. So, since we're talking chef terms, the whole taking a break was probably the arc where I had to study and learn culinary and work on my craft. And the appetizer was actually refining what I learned. And now that we're in the
Mm.
first course, it's just about execution and perfect. I'm just kidding. Where are we going with this conversation? But in terms of cooking, I mentioned that taking a step back helps you realize what you actually want to do and what you gravitate towards in terms of your passion. So I noticed in recent months that something I hold close to heart, which is collegiate gaming. The hype for it wasn't the same when I first started in esports, and admittedly, I did take a big break from that. But I'm happy that I'm still connected with a lot of people that I met when it was the height of collegiate gaming. So this was just, I'd say, after the pandemic, so 2020, 2021. some people have pursued other career paths. And even so, I'm still good friends with some of the people I met then. And for me personally, I enjoy the whole community. And at the end of the day, if there's an opportunity for people in the Philippines to have a career in esports, then I think it's worth investing in, because there's always the topic of, oh, it's so much better in other parts of the world. But for us, I think as long as we have people who believe that this could be something that's so important. So that's something I've been working on a little bit, trying to give back to my collegiate roots in terms of esports, and at the same time mixing in the content bit with that. So it's just to highlight the stories of homegrown players. And probably someone I'd really love to mention is Javi 8K. A lot of people know him in the Valorant scene. I'm lucky enough to have shoutcasted some of his games before he turned pro. And I think it's these types of stories that definitely need to be explored and shown out there. So for me, I think there's a lot of heavy 8Ks out there with untapped potential that do deserve to have their story out. So that's what we're cooking. The recipe, we're not sharing it though, but it's gonna be a buffet one day. One day.
I'd love to visit your Yuuske restaurant. Well, you've mentioned that you like fell in love with the collegiate scene, and I truly understand that because there's like this different hype when it's like a close knit community fighting for like their schools and all that. But I just wanted to ask if that's where you fell in love, I wanted to ask, was there a specific moment where you've realized you've actually fallen in love now with esports or shoutcasting even?
Well, I always say this to the people that I reconnect with in the community. There's something about gaming and esports that always makes me want to come back to it. And even though I took a whole break and I'm not that active in terms of shoutcasting, in fact, I actually do tailor my content to a whole different niche now. I still do enjoy trying to put a bit of flavor into gaming and esports. There's something about it. And I can't really pinpoint what it is.
Mm.
Probably if I were to pick one, it would most likely be the people, because I've made wonderful connections in the scene, and a lot of the people that are active in esports now that I've met before, I really look up to them because they managed to make a career out of this. And I suppose for me, it's really the people. And I think in any community, even if there's lack of support or the ecosystem's just not there yet, the people keep it what it is. That's the whole structure of it. So the community and social aspect is such an important part of trying to let people know that this is worth investing in.
I get that. You were mentioning like the other, I think, players and shoutcasters that you've seen grow and all that. And I just wanted to ask, in your opinion, as a shoutcaster yourself, what's the biggest like what's the most important, I guess, what's the most important trait of a shoutcaster that they must have and the people don't usually see on camera?
It's definitely the connections that you build not only with your co-casters and other co-talents, but with the players as well. Because at the end of the day, you are using your voice to amplify the stories of these people who are competing. And admittedly, in the past, I was always really shy to talk to players because I thought that all I really just had to do was talk about them, etc., etc. But the longer I was in the industry, I realized that it's actually pretty good to chat and talk with them because they give you talking points, you get to know them a bit more, and it really helps you build the story on them. Because there's only a lot of things you can see on the surface level in terms of their performance. Anyone can talk about their performance and say that they're really good. But trying to get on a human level with the players, and not even the players, the staff, everyone involved, is also what I think is very important. And a lot of people look at shoutcasters and say that their job is just to analyze the game, learn it, play the game, know what changes, do this, do that. But I really think it's more than that. At the end of the day, you are talking about other humans and how they perform in this game. So it's very important to build relationships with them and just ask them about anything, just have that human interaction, and you can learn a lot from them, and that really helps as a shoutcaster, honestly, when you get talking points. Probably one of the most funny ones I would hear in recent years is the Valorant broadcast in the Philippines. You'd hear Vil or Tayrar, and then they talk about the players as if they were besties, and they actually are because they do hang out with the players. So that's very important. There's beyond the shoutcasting that people don't see is that you really have to build those relationships because it's the foundation of what you're talking about. And again, it just really helps amplify their stories more when you know where you if you know where they're coming from.
Yeah, I can actually see that because apart from the talking points now that they give you, I think what you mentioned about like humanizing them in a stream is very important because we're also prone to judging players with the mistakes they make on stream. Yeah. So yeah, I think humanizing players it's a very important point. And I think yeah, building connections as a shoutcaster is one of the most important factors that you have to build, like one of the most important personalities you have to build. um so now, like we've been talking about, you've mentioned that you've taken a step back na, from shoutcasting. So this is probably more of like a question for the past, or like actually you can still answer it naman according to the present. Pero siguro when you were watching a game and yeah, when you were watching a game, are you even watching it anymore, or are you just seeing a series of win conditions and probability percentages? And this being a procaster ruined the magic of being a fan.
Uh, I think it enhances it.
Mhm.
I know what you're trying to say
Yeah,
with I think the analogy for that is people who know how to direct and film movies. They can never watch movies the same
yeah,
because they know the cuts, etc. They know the different camera angles, cuts, and then if they spot a mistake. Personally, I think it enhances it because you are more knowledgeable about the game. You understand certain tactics. And I think it's really fun when I'm with friends who may not be shoutcasters, but let's say that they are fans of Valorant. And then we're watching a game or watching a stream. And then one of them just goes, "No, why would they do that?" etc. etc. And I'm thinking, wow, these guys know what they're talking about. So it's fun to be able to kind of anticipate what is happening before it happens, and that just makes it more dreadful when your favorite team loses. So it's for me, it doesn't really ruin the experience. I think it's more fun, and I don't really hyperfixate on, oh my gosh, why would you buy a ghost, oh my gosh, why would you do this, do that. I like to just enjoy, go with the flow. So pretty much.
yeah. Thank you so much for that analogy, by the way, because I wouldn't have thought about that. So thank you for putting it into nicer words for me. Again, we're going to be taking a trip down memory lane again. I want to ask, what was the hardest no that you've received early on in your career, and how did it motivate you to keep going?
I honestly don't think I can answer that because I don't look at rejections as something that's difficult. If anything, it motivates me. I'm a very, if this isn't for me, then I'm okay with that. So I think probably projects that I really wanted to cast and the offer just never came. So so that's me present time. So I guess in the past I would think, oh, I'm not good enough because I never got an offer. But I've changed the mindset because I believe that if you don't receive an offer for something, then it's just really not for you. And even if you try to get that offer, doesn't matter how many connections you have or say you worked hard for it, you're the obvious choice and you still don't get it, then it's just not for you. You just have to accept it. And it's not a big deal. I'm a very look forward to what will come next person. So I don't I don't think I've ever had the hardest no. But I there were moments where I wish I could have gotten a project, but I never really dwell on it. I'm not a believer in that. For me, rejection will always be redirection.
Again, I've been loving everything you're saying, Yuuske. That redirection is oh, oh my god, rejection is redirection. Yeah, I love that because I think in the esports industry especially, everything is so fast. Like everything is changing all like every day. So like you can't really expect anything to be permanent in esports, and that mindset that rejection is redirection is a very helpful thing to keep in mind while you're tackling this career. Okay, so I think we can now move on to the women's side of things because I mean, like we see a lot of new faces coming up in the women in esports scene. So I want to ask you personally, Yusuke, who has been your favorite new talent to watch? Is there anyone? And what makes their craft special to you?
New talent. Should it be a caster or can it be a player or
Honestly, it can be anyone you want.
okay. Well, actually, well, she's not really new, and I am a diehard Brigada fan, so I will talk about Brigada. Mostly because I remember when she first started out in the industry, napanood ko yung audition niya kasi tinulungan ko si Leo Cast during caster search. And I remember her being one of the entries on the women's side. And I remember just how so shy that lady was. My God. So the fact that she's basically Indonesia's favorite MPL talent, which is really funny. A whole different country
Mm.
is obsessed with her hosting. I think is such an empowering move to watch as a woman because women face a lot of scrutiny in the scene. You're not pretty enough, you talk too loud, you don't dress properly, etc., etc. But that girl carried herself so damn well, respectfully. Was that a curse? That wasn't a curse. And if you ask me, if I had the top 10, Brigada, just kidding. She's gonna kill me for this, by the way. But legit, that lady has grown so much in the industry, and I'm just so happy to see her grow out of that. Especially since I saw her start her career a bit early, and she really worked on her talentness. I would say I was gonna say her brand, but that sounds so corporate. But she basically grew in a really good way in the industry, and I'm really happy that she's incredibly humble, down to earth, regardless of her success. And I just hope that she gets so much more recognition because she works really hard for that stuff. So I guess talent wise, I would give it to Brigada. Oh, by the way, the reason why I call her Brigada is because they misspelled her name one time in a poster, and I just always never gonna let her live that down. So she's just Brigada for me always. Then I do want to highlight as well, since we're on the topic of women in the scene, I do want to point out someone who works behind the scenes, if that's all right. Her name is Hanabi. She's insanely amazing in terms of graphic design and photography. And I think that it's really inspiring as well that we have women in these roles in graphics and design, which I think is really important to showcase too, because I think it's a very male dominated industry. And the fact that we have really wonderful creative ladies in the space, it also brings a lot of inspiration to women who want to pursue a career in that. So Hanabi is also one of the best out there, honestly. And she doesn't only do gaming, I know she does music as well. And she also does photography, which is, again, insane. The whole umbrella of multimedia is not easy to do. So shout out to her. She did a lot for La Salle and esports. She still continues to do so as well. And she also has her own personal brand. And super last, by the way, because this I really can't just point one person when it comes to this, but super last player side naman is Rogue. Rogue used to be a Wild Rift pro player, but now she's actually really good in Valorant also, but now she's more in HOK. I think she plays for Hive International, and they recently did win a championship as well internationally. So I think that's also very important to note that we have women representatives competing, but we're not really getting a lot of noise or recognition for them because again, male dominated industry. People see it, they say, "Oh, that's cool," and then they just brush it off. So it's people like these ladies who make an impact in the scene, and may perhaps some of them may be more popular than the others because ML is number one in the Philippines. But I think that women in esports is so important at the end of the day because it's not just boys, guys. Come on, it's let's not have gender norms anymore for esports. It's a stop it. Let's not do this anymore. There's a lot of very talented women out there. It's not about gender anymore. So yeah, I know I gave you three examples, but honestly, like deserve. And I wish I could name more. I could not shut up. I would be talking about everyone I worked with. That's how impactful it was. And probably special mention to you also, Inru, for hosting and doing this. I mean, you're like, what the- no, but seriously, I mean, you guys are also taking initiative to do this, and I really appreciate LG Esports because you guys always go above and beyond for Women's Month. So respect. Thank you. And subtle plug to your jersey as well. Guys, buy their jersey. Winks.
Thank you for saying everything I wanted to say, JP. Um,
Tapos ka na yung spiel mo.
no, no, but actually, yeah, I also think it's amazing that parang you're so open to supporting other women in the industry. And I think it's also you also deserve to be supported that way because you've paved way for a lot of the shoutcasters that we have now. Like if it weren't for people like you, for women like you who paved the way at first, there wouldn't be shoutcasters or people in the esports industry shining right now. So thank you so much, Yuuske, for sharing your talent with us. um we were actually talking about this now. My next question kasi is also about being like esports being a male dominated industry. So I want to ask you because the standard for what a professional caster looks and sounds like was originally built by, cisgender straight men. How are you and the other women in esports or in the industry changing the definition of what a pro actually looks like in 2026 or in the future?
I think you have a guest joining us in the back,
Yeah.
but I think they're supportive of what we're talking about. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, Kat. It's really good that you mentioned that. I came across this TikTok the other day that said it was a compilation of this lady that mentioned a list of things that are just past but are misogynistic, and the top of her list was that Siri's voice on default being a female. And when I heard that, I said, wow, that makes so much sense. Why is the female default? Because women are regarded, in the past, women are regarded as just the housewives. They're the assistants, basically. Even devices like Alexa, it's female branded. So that's the perception you have of women. And then in shoutcasting, I believe internationally you have very, very talented people, such as my favorite is Pansy. Pansy is one of the best ever in not just Valorant, in FPS as a genre. She has a very iconic voice. She's British, so she has a very lovely way of telling a story. Very captivating voice too. And it's women like Pansy as well. And when you think about it, when Pansy says something a bit strange or weird, people on Twitter or people online are very quick to judge and call her out. But if a male counterpart does it, they don't really mind or they just pass it off. So it's incredibly difficult as a woman because the stereotype. And the examples like Siri and Alexa being female as a default. So there really is this perception that the female voice is loud, unnecessary, etc., etc. I've seen people comment on casters because of how they sound. Oh, she's too high pitched. It's irritating for the ears. Get her off the broadcast. Things like that. So I think now the fact that we are having more women representation takes away the gender bind when it comes to certain roles in these aspects in life. And you really shouldn't tie genders to profession. Women, I would say, in modern times, are more willing to be career driven. And something I've noticed as well is women these days are perfectly fine with being independent. They don't look for partners anymore because they're happy to just support themselves and their careers. And I think it's a very big step compared to how women were perceived not even 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago. A lot of women are very stressed if they can't find a partner in life. But nowadays, women are, they know the standard and they know when it's time to call people out or not to accept certain behaviors. So I do appreciate that in female talents, there are people that are voicing out as well that you can't talk to me this way or this is incredibly sexist. So that's also very important. Calling people out that this is not funny. Your misogyny has no place here. You're not gonna bring us down because you're insecure at the end of the day. People talk badly about women because they're either jealous, they're insecure, or they're just salty that a woman is doing this specific job. So I think it's a very big branch of conversation to tap into, but I am happy that more women are being independent and they have more conviction than we did in the past. In the past, we just accept certain words or behaviors. These days, it's you say something off, I'm going to call you out. This is not normal. So I think that's very important and very brave as well. It takes a lot of courage to do that.
Yeah, that again is so true. Everything you've been saying tonight, Yuuske, is just
Okay, let me say something wrong. So I that women should. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't use that as the hook. Don't. I think women should. Okay, women should. Period. I'm not. I'm not gonna say anything else.
okay. But I actually really need you to send me the link of that TikTok that you saw, 'cause that's very interesting. It's very, it's a whole new. I think we do need to sit, like we do need another day to sit this one down, because there's a lot of things to be talked about, and I would love to hear your thoughts about it. But yeah, I think we kind of have to scale back a bit, because I want to ask you. Actually, wala na siyang connect. I just want to ask more about you, Yusuke. If you had to pick one game where the vibe of the community just matches your personality perfectly, which one would it be?
Climbing. Sorry.
Oh,
A, a community of a certain game. Ooh. Well, I grew up with the 2K community, so 2K and Tekken. So I'm gonna give love to those guys. And the reason is because with the 2K and fighting game scene, how it was a decade ago, crazy, right? A decade ago, is you can't really play these games online, such as Valorant or Mobile Legends, where you can just play at home in your bed, sitting down, chilling. And the vibe is you are in a room full of people that play this video game. So aside from the fact that you are playing this game, this is your common interest, you can hang out with people. And I think that's what's really important that gaming is lacking these days. A lot of things just switch to online. And when you switch things to online, it just makes people more toxic. It just builds so much more hate because you don't see who you're hating on. And which is not to say that people don't still trash talk in real life. If anything, it's funny. In 2K, if you're playing with a guy, I saw this at our tournament last week. This guy literally to the dude next to him, ano yun? But not in a way that I'm gonna beat you up, more in a way of what was that? That was a bit funny.
yeah.
Why'd you do that? You thought that was gonna hurt me. that banter, I think, is you can't take that away from sports, obviously. So I think that's the vibe that I like. It's chill, it's cool, everyone's just enjoying the game, and I really do enjoy the vibe that console games bring to my personality, because I enjoy just talking to people about the game and fun trash talk like that. Nothing about who you are, your gender, your mom, getting into the play of insults. I'm not even kidding. I used to play so much Valorant before, and randoms would come from my mother, and I'd be like, she's asleep. But I could tell her this when she wakes up, but I don't think she'll care. She doesn't know who you are, right? People are so strange online. So yeah, I'd stick to on site.
Yeah, yeah, I can actually start to realize now, because I've always been thinking about the evolution of trash talk. And yeah, it does make a lot of sense. The anonymity online does breed a lot of toxicity. So even if there's trash talking in real life, it kind of does make it more fun. So I do understand why you would choose those games. I personally thought you were going to choose Valorant, but then now that you've explained everything, it now makes a lot more sense why you would, parang gravitate towards those other games.
I have a hand, if I may add.
Uh-huh.
Valorant, if it's LAN, for sure. And if you've again built a relationship with the players in the community, I think it's very enjoyable. It's a very fun game. I think there's just a lot of sad people that take advantage of the game to be mean. But yeah, that's why I picked those games, because I grew up with 2K and Tekken. So that's why.
That's true. I think most online games talaga, they just have this incredible potential to be toxic because ayun nga, the anonymity and the sadness of everyone playing. That's a good word to use. Sad people playing games online. Um yeah, we're actually going to be ending with this last question. And I want you to think about this, Yusuke, as if sobrang seryoso niya. Pero, if your career had a theme song every time you stepped onto a stage, what would it be and why?
Hannah Montana, you'll always find your way
Oh,
back home. No hesitation. Don't even have to
you,
think
you
about
didn't
it.
even have to think.
Hell no,
Yeah.
absolutely not. You know, that song has gotten me through some interesting moments in my life. And it may seem like a random Disney song, but if you listen to the lyrics, it's actually kind of deep. Do you know the song? You'll always find your way back home. Well, the chorus is basically you can change your, well, spoken poetry. You can change your hair. You can change your clothes. You can change your mind. That's the way it goes. You can say goodbye and you can say hello, but you'll always find your way back home.
Oh,
I'm not done.
oh,
You can change your style and you can change your jeans. You can learn to cry or you can chase your dreams. May have forgotten the rest of the lyrics, but you will always find your way.
back home.
Exactly. And I think that is a very strong message that a lot of people go through a lot. And I think it's because they forget that you're supposed to have fun and enjoy life. And that song is a very fun, upbeat song. And the lyrics, when you say it like spoken poetry, makes a lot of sense. You'll go through a lot of things. At the end of the day, you always find your way back to who you're meant to be and what makes you happy. So before, I would have times where I would be really stressed and then I just have to go on a broadcast. So I just have to be upbeat and smile as if I wasn't just going through a full crash out session. But I think it's important while you're exploring these things to never forget to have fun and the reason why you're doing it. So there will be many challenges, but at the end of the day, you will always find your way back home, period, because that's just how it's supposed to be. So don't stress too much. Don't stress too much.
Now that you've, performed your little spoken poetry, I I think the song eats, and I might have to listen to it after this I don't know, podcast. um yeah, but actually, Yuska, I think that's a wrap for this episode of On the Record. Yeah, I was gonna say about, like, I was gonna say something about what stuck with me mostly, but then I think most of what we talked about is gonna stick with me because you did really have some good points in a lot of the questions. And so actually, yeah, lots of things stuck with me today. I hope it resonated with everyone else watching and listening. A huge thank you also, of course, to Yuuske for being so open and putting your journey on the record with us today. So before we officially close the record on this episode, I want to give you, Yuuske, the floor. This is your time for any shout outs, plugs, or final messages you want to send out to the community, your supporters, or anyone who's been part of your journey.
Ooh, biggest shout out is definitely going to go to Leo. That man got me in the industry. So mad respect to him. Shout out to Academia because they literally raised me in the whole collegiate scene, and I've met a lot of incredible people throughout that journey. And to all the wonderful ladies that I have met and worked with, and of course to the gentlemen that took care of a lot of the ladies. I've met a lot of lovely men who helped out, especially in terms of the back end. And I've had a lot of co-casters as well who just make it feel like a welcoming space for ladies. So shout out to those guys as well. And LG Sports, obviously, you guys are amazing. Every time it's Women's Month, you always eat. I'm not even kidding. To Minru and to Janina as well, and to Maja, Maja's bestie, and thank you, and also to Gab, who's here but silent. So yeah, thank you for everything, and biggest thank you to LG Esports for producing Brigada, one of the best talents in the country. Represent amazing, maybe a bit crazy in the head with the minions, but that's okay. Every girl needs to have that. And thank you. You guys are awesome. Good luck for whatever you would like to do the rest of the year. And thank you for inspiring a lot of other students out there to pursue esports.
Yes, again, also thank you so much, Yusuke, for our kwentuhan today. And if the people watching enjoyed our kwentuhan today, make sure to stay tuned for the rest of the series as we continue to highlight the incredible talents in our scene. I've been your host, Minru, and this is Yusuke. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.